All right, welcome to another episode of Production Pod. As you know, I was supposed to be coming out with stuff every Friday. I made that commitment to the world and more. So it has been hard. Life been lifing. You know what I'm saying? I got three, and I'm not blaming my children at all. I'm just saying there were things that happened over the course of the last few weeks. But I'm here. You know what I'm saying? Shouts out to my boy Jovan Palmer. He's the one that also was like, yo, Mark, I'm gonna hold you accountable, bro. Like, where is this podcast at? Right? And our mentor, David Shands, always like talks about the consistency. He's like, yo, Mark, you can't execute. Like, I got a shirt on. You know what I'm saying? Execution over excuses. And he's like always talking about like the importance of it, right? And I got to a place where I just didn't know what was going on. I had everything going on with the museum. And then in that, all the stuff that I'm saying that I'm doing, I'm also creating excuses. So, regardless if I have someone on the podcast or not, that doesn't give me the pass to then say, oh, I'm not going to do the podcast this week, or I'm not going to do something that I set out to do, right? I've been on this whole thing about learning Spanish, whole thing about learning how to like take care of my body, my health, really going to the gym more often. And I see a huge difference in my body, in everything, like everything that I've been doing lately. And I think that it's important for us, for everyone, to hold ourselves accountable. You know what I mean? If you put yourself out there, or even if you put yourself, in a space where nobody knows, like in darkness, like things come to light. So you just have to be consistent in what you're saying and what you're doing. And I think that I'm in a better place now of acceptance. I think that was like one of the biggest things, right? Of accepting it all. My wife and I, for our birthday, we flew out to New York last September, and September 29th, we have the same birthday. And we just were like, yo, we want to do better. And, we're trying to like, this is our 33rd year. So we're like, yo, this is our Jesus year. And I think that Jesus was just consistent in the miracles that he was performing, consistent in his prayer life, his fasting life, and also just giving God the glory. And I think that regardless of what we do, if we're not, it's going to be so many areas where we're all going to fall. And I'm not going to lie, like throughout my entire life, I've lacked consistency. I've been, my boy, Joe, back to Jovan, literally we did a podcast, and he named the podcast that we had with each other Consistently Inconsistent. And when I thought about it, I was like, dang, like that's kind of deep, bro. Like that's how you feel about me. But then, and then I was like, nah, man, like that's the truth. Like that's how you feel. That's literally what you've been going through. And now you're in this space. So what are you going to do about it? What are you going to change? And I think now, just regardless of if I set out to say a podcast, and I set out to do like more marketing for my business and what I'm like really doing and promoting, I have to complete it. I have to do it well. Like not just like get it done because I just need it out the way, but more so like, yo, I'm executing at a high level, at a high frequency, right? I've been listening to this Alex Hormozy book. And he's talking about $100 million offers, $100 million leads, like, and he's talking about the value over everything. Everything that he talks about, he's always talking about value. And I think for me, I had to ask myself, and that was deep, man. This year with my business, would you hire you? And I was like, I hire myself, right? And I have Veronica Clanton Higgins on a podcast. That's my sister, y'all. I love her. She knows it. I had her on the podcast, and we talked about, how she was able to develop the first TEDx in Compton. She hired me, and I took forever to send the footage. I had a million things going on. And I thought about, if she wasn't my friend, would she hire me again? I don't think she would. And then I and then I got referred over last minute stuff, and it was a blessing because I needed the money and all these different things. And somebody hired me, like hit me up like, yo, Mark, like I need you to do this thing, right? And I lacked, not that I didn't lack the consistency to deliver in time, and I gave a high value and all this stuff. It was great. I'm telling you, what I did was awesome. But I lacked the communication. Like, I should have overly communicated more, right? Like, oh, this isn't Frame.io. Yo, have you checked it? Oh, I'm looking forward to your reviews. Oh, everybody loves when if it's put back on them, right? And these are some of the platforms that I do use. I use Premiere, I use Frame.io, I use, Gmail, of course, to be able to come back, also talk back and forth, send my contracts, QuickBooks, all these different things. And I think that it's really important to really just stay on top of it and stay consistent in any and everything that you're doing. And I promise you, your business, your day life, your prayer life, your life with your children, everything will change. And again, I'm very transparent. Knowing that this is a production pod, I'm interviewing experts in their field and also producing things. And in order to truly produce and truly be able to execute and put out something, you gotta show up. And I feel like I failed myself. I failed people that may have expected something from me. I've also failed my children in a sense because I'm now setting the blueprint of what's acceptable. And going forward, I'm going to do much better with the things that I say that I'm going to do and the things that I offer to like my community, or even now to some of the people that work with me, and even to myself, because I owe it to myself. And I think that really changes everything. That changes the approach. That changes how you look at life. And consistency is one of the key ingredients to survive, to really being able to change and operate and approach the ways in which you are looked at as well. My pops, I have a great relationship with my pops. Talk to him all the time. He just sent me a drone the other day. Right? So I'm talking to him. I'm like, yo, I just got this drone crazy, all this stuff. Right, man? Thank you. And the amount of times that I talked to him on the phone about him sending this drone was wild. I probably talked to him 5 times about it. Until I told him, I need this week. I need it because I have to film. Send me it or don't send it. You know what I'm saying? He sent it. All right, thank you. And even then, when he said he was going to send it, he didn't. He gave me an excuse about him going to somewhere else or whatever. The reason why I'm saying that is because I expect him to be inconsistent. And I don't want that for my children. And I don't want that for them to take that on, for other people to see that in them, that, oh, I expect Adalia, Azariah, and Amaya to not show up on time, to be inconsistent, to not do what they said that they're going to do because of, for whatever reason, right? Because their dad is the model in which they're going to operate and approach life. So he was never on time. He never showed up. He was never consistent. So that's what I'm going to do. So now I'm holding myself more accountable because I'm like, dag, like, do I want to operate like that? Like, that's literally what I look at my dad like, you know what I'm saying? Which is my man's, which I love him, everything. But am I now taking on that, those generational habits of, oh, you're just not consistent. You're not going to show up. You're not going to be there on time. You're not going to go to the gym. You're not even going to make your podcast. So I am trying to really have high value in executing and giving people the opportunity to really see, and not only for other people, even for myself to see that I can be consistent, that I can give and be there and show up every time. This podcast means a lot to me. This episode means a lot because I'm holding myself accountable. And I appreciate everyone that does watch, that listens in, that checks me out, that follows up. Yo, Mark, when the next episode and all that. Yo, thank you. Thank you. Love you. Be safe. That is not the fire alarm that keeps going off. It's my daggone phone because I have a camera system and it keeps going off. I'm sorry. I hate when I hear that with nobody changing their daggone fire extinguishers and stuff. So thank you again. Have a great day. And I'm telling you, you too, just those small doses every day. Just keep doing it. Don't stop. And you could really move some mountains. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Be safe out there in them streets. You never know.